everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have an exciting video planned today. I'll be showing you a beautiful engagement session gallery that I photographed, and then I will outline exactly how I edited the photos. So let's dive right in. Hey everyone, so here is the engagement session gallery for a session that I did a few days ago for a really nice couple, Marianne and Dominic. I took the photos just before sunset, and we went to a park in Toronto, Ontario, right by the Lake Ontario, and it was really nice. This park we went to was quite busy. There's a lot of people who are walking and biking around this area, so it can make it a little trickier to shoot when there's people around. And I'll go through this session. I'm just going to outline some of the things that I did and give you some tips that will hopefully be helpful. So I use a website called Pixie Set in order to show my galleries and email my galleries and share them with people, and it works really well for me. So this is all on Pixie Set, and I'm going to just scroll through this gallery just to show you exactly what I delivered to a couple after an engagement session, and this is kind of typical of an engagement session that I would do. So I always try to take vertical and horizontal photos of a particular pose so that they have an option on which orientation they would prefer. And then for my favorite photos, I will convert them to black and white. So I'll have color copies as well as black and white copies. So we started out on this nice path, as you can see here. It was a really good spot. It was very quiet, which was good. So I used my 85mm lens for these shots because I could get further away from them because there weren't that many people around. And I love the way these turned out. And then we moved on. We started out on that path, then we walked over towards the water. As you can see, Dominic is quite a bit taller than Marianne, so there's a huge height difference. So that can make things a little tricky, but we chose a couple of poses that I think worked really well for them, including this pose right here where Marianne is in front of Dominic. That worked really well. So when you have someone who's so tall, I think Dominic's like 6'4" or 6'5". When you have someone who's so tall, sometimes people who are so tall like that, they have a tendency to slouch. So I was keeping an eye out to see if Dominic was slouching in the photos, and he wasn't. He was really aware of that, which was nice. But that is something just to keep in mind when you're posing someone who's a lot taller. And then this pose worked out well too. We had Marianne coming in behind Dominic. I think I used my 50mm for these shots because it was a narrow pathway that I was taking photos on. I couldn't get far enough away to use my 85, which I do love the 85. And then these shots were great. I liked this flower bushes, pink flower bushes in the background. Over at this pathway they were sitting on, I had a lot of pedestrians walking by, and there's bikers going by. So I was really limited where I could stand. I couldn't get too far away from them because I would have been in the road if I'd gotten any further away from them. So I started out, I used my 24 to 70mm lens for these wider shots of them because I couldn't get further away. And then I got in a little bit closer and I zoomed in a little bit more. I think I used f2.8 for those. And then I did a few shots of the ring just on the park bench with the flowers in the background. And then we kept on walking. So I like to have a variety of locations. We just keep walking, take a bunch of photos in one location, and then move on. So we walked down to the beach, and so we got nice city views in the background. And then we got Marianne to hop up on some rocks, so she was a little bit higher up. That helped with the height issue and gave some more variety to the photos. So I always do individual shots of people as well, and then add those to the gallery. That's where we wrapped up. So next I'm going to go into Lightroom, and I'm going to edit a few of these photos and just show you exactly the adjustments that I made and go into details of camera settings a little bit more. And I've selected a few of the photos just to demonstrate how I go about editing them. So we'll start with this first photo, and this one I took in amongst some trees There were some leaves in the foreground, so leaves close to my camera. Those leaves kind of blurred out, and then there were leaves close to the couple, and then more leaves in the background, which also blurred out. See, I used, what lens did I use? I used my 50mm lens at f2.2 for this image, so it was fairly wide open, and that helped me get the blurring of the foreground and the background that I really like. I wanted to show you, this is the before. This is before I did any edits, and this is after. So it's just a little bit brightened up. There wasn't anything significant that changed, but I'll show you how I went and edited this. So I'll go into the develop module, and I'll apply my basic import preset. That's what I do to every image to start out with. And this preset is actually available in the description. If you want to go ahead, you can just click on the link in the description and download this preset for free. And you're welcome to use it however you like. So this is the preset that I use on all my images. So I start out with that, and I think the color looks good. I think their skin tones look natural, which is what I'm aiming for. So I'm just going to leave the color temperature as is. I'm going to reduce the exposure just a little bit. I thought it's just a little bit too bright. And then I'm going to go down to the tone curve, and I'm going to reduce highlights just slightly. And I'm going to reduce shadows just a little bit, and that just brings a little more pop to the darker colors of the image. So I'm happy with how that looks. That was pretty easy. And then I'm going to go on to the next image. So this one right here, this one, I used my 85mm for this lens, which is one of my favorites. I do like the 85 and 50 a lot for portraits. So in this image, I didn't have much room to back up. I wasn't able to get like a full body portrait in this location, but actually Marianne was wearing just like comfortable footwear, and she didn't want her feet in the photos anyhow. So this, I thought the 85 worked out well here. And then I love how the 85 really blurs out the background and the foreground. And so I shot this at f2.2, which is quite wide open, and it gave a nice blurring out of the background. It also blurred out some of these leaves that were close to my camera. I'll start editing this. So once again, in the develop module, I'll apply the basic import preset. And I think once that is applied, I'll go over to the right-hand side and I'll make some adjustments, because it doesn't always work out 100% correct. So I'm going to warm it up a bit. I thought their skin tone looked a little cool, so I think that looks okay. And then other than that, it looks pretty good, I think. I'll go back down to the tone curve. I don't want her dress to be too bright. So pull down the highlights a little bit, pull down the darks a little bit. It'll add just a little more contrast to the image. I think that looks good. So I will leave it there. And then last but not least, I'll edit this image of the ring. And let's see what the settings were on this. So I used my extension tube on my 24-70 f2.8 lens. And so it was at 70mm f4. So I find with the extension tube, I won't go shoot any wider than f4 because it's too hard to get anything in focus. Even at f4, the depth of field is so shallow that sometimes it's hard to get anything in focus. But I like how this turned out because it's such a shallow depth of field, so it blurred out the flower in the background. That's what I was going for. So first thing I'll do is I'll apply that preset, so the basic import preset, so that brightened it up. And then I think it's also a little cool. It just looks a little bluish to me, so I'm gonna bump up the temperature, make it a little warmer. And then I think that looks good. The only thing that I don't really like is I don't like that dark corner. So I'm gonna try to clone this out but make it look believable. So I'm going to use the clone stamp tool in the corner, and let's see, it selects this area. So basically copy and pasted this middle section to go over the corner. Let's see.
just expanding it a little bit to cover up a bigger area. I think that looks believable, so I'm just going to close that up.
And there we have it. The engagement session gallery is now complete, and I'm ready to share it with the happy couple. I hope you enjoyed this engagement session gallery scroll and editing demo. The key to a great gallery is capturing genuine moments and then using thoughtful editing to process them. If you'd like to try out the preset that I used, go ahead and grab it in the comments below. It's free and you can use it however you like. Play around with it and see if you like it to edit your photos. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to get more helpful photography tips and tutorials. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.